Hi, my name is Jessica Fick, and I'm the Evangelism Resources Director for Stonecroft Ministries. Today, we're just going to walk through a brief overview of how to facilitate a small group. If you want to find more information about how to lead small groups or other Stonecroft groups, you can go to stonecroft.org/evangelism resources. It has this overview that I'm going to share with you on a worksheet and lots of other great resources. So, we're excited that you're going to lead a small group or are interested in doing so. And really, it's quite simple. It's a lot simpler than most people think. So all it really takes to lead a small group is a willingness to help women encounter Jesus and to help your group discover him together. So no matter where your group is at spiritually, if there's a woman who's never opened a Bible, if there's a woman who's been going to church her whole life, these groups are designed to help foster conversations around spiritual things and meaningful things. So a few tips of what will really help you to have a great group. We're just going to walk through how to create space, ask open-ended questions, and then what you can do as the group is started to help it flow really smoothly. First, help women feel welcome. So meet in a place that is going to facilitate the discussion. So if you're meeting in a home, make sure the TV's turned off, that childcare is arranged so that kids aren't running in and out of the room, and then provide some snacks and the resources that you're going to be using. It's really highly suggested to co-lead with someone that could host the group and then someone who can facilitate the group. That way it just takes the pressure off of having to do it all. And it's really fun to do it with a friend. So one of you can worry about having your house clean and providing the cookies, and the other one of you can figure out how to facilitate the discussion. So wherever you meet, pick an informal spot and decide as a group how often you're going to meet together, where you're going to meet, and then how you're going to communicate with each other outside of group. Is it going to be text, email, whatever? So that's kind of getting the group started. And then when you meet initially, it's a great idea just to set some group guidelines and let women know what they can expect from the group. And this is especially crucial for women who have never been part of a church small group or really are new to exploring Jesus. You want to set the tone to help her see this is going to be a safe place. So let them know that what stays in the group is confidential, what's shared in the group stays in the group, that you're going to really try and learn and listen from each other, to hear different viewpoints, to share your honest opinions and express your beliefs, and really see it as a chance to grow. You want to emphasize that it's a place to grow and just build friendships, to learn about people, to see what their experiences and stories are like. And then let women know that you have all agreed to gather for a specific purpose of kind of exploring who Jesus is, or going through one of our conversation guides that I'll share with you about in a little bit. But let them know you want to focus on what unites you rather than what divides you. So as we know, a lot of times women want to share different things they're passionate about, but you've all chosen to make time to get together to participate in the small group. And so emphasize that the group really will focus on what you've chosen to get together and discuss. So once you've set the group guidelines and kind of set the tone and let people know what they can expect of the group, it's really time to just start leading and have a great time enjoying getting to know women and seeing what Jesus does in your group. One way that you can really serve the women in your group is to draw out conversation that supports and challenges everyone. And a really simple way to do that is just by asking open-ended questions. So the difference between a closed-ended question and an open-ended question is something like this. A closed-ended question would be, did you enjoy the group tonight? You can really only answer yes or no in response to that question. But if you ask an open-ended question, tell me what you enjoyed about the group tonight, that gives the woman a lot more room to share with you what she's been thinking or feeling, or even some reservations. So you can do this when it comes to anything that's shared in the group. So it's really an opportunity to give her space to draw out the conversation as she's comfortable. Next, while you're leading the group, you want to look, listen, and lead. So initially look to see who is answering a lot of the questions, and look to see who's not speaking and answering questions. So, there's different personalities that will be in your group. So your job as a leader is to really make sure women have space to share. And so you might just say something like, hey, I'd love to hear from people in the group who haven't shared yet, if you've got folks that are dominating the conversation. Or, if someone has contributed, just to say, hey, you mentioned something in response to that question. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on that. So just try and have a healthy dynamic of, everybody having a chance to share and participate. Next, you want to listen. There is something really scary about going to something that you've never experienced before, and so we want to listen and affirm women whenever we can. So affirm their responses to the questions or discussions and just thank them for being vulnerable. It's a really simple thing to do, but it goes a long way in helping people to feel comfortable, and to know that there's no stupid questions. Their responses make sense and are valued in the group. Lastly, you want to lead. Sometimes groups can get off topic. You start talking about a great deal you found somewhere or your latest vacation, and before you know it, the hour that you've chosen to meet for is totally gone because conversations have gone on too long. So, or sometimes things can get a little awkward. So if that's the case, if you go on a tangent or things become awkward, as a leader, just acknowledge it and say, hey, I know you're excited about your latest vacation, but we only have an hour to meet, so let's try and stick to the discussion guide and you can talk about stuff afterwards. Or, if maybe a difference of opinion has come up, to say, hey, I know that this is something you're passionate about, or we might have some disagreement about. Let's commit to what we've chosen to show up for and discuss tonight. Would it be okay if we talked about this afterwards? So that way, the group knows that you see what's going on, that you're not afraid to acknowledge it, but also that you really want to respond with kindness and respect to say, if this is something you're curious about or that's important to you, we can make space for that after we've done the thing that we've agreed to show up for. The last thing you can do is really try to bring depth to the conversation by asking women to share more. So it just shows that you care about people when they begin to share and respond to questions or challenges, and you ask them a follow-up question. So they might have responded to something in one of these conversation guides and shared about a painful area in life or something that they're hoping to experience in the future. And really, you can just help serve them by saying, tell me more about that. That sounds really cool, this thing that you're hoping and planning to do in the future. Or that sounds really difficult. How did you manage to get through that? So just letting them share and affirming where they're at and asking her to share more. And if she's comfortable, she will. But it's just, again, a way to build relationships and to foster trust between the women in your group, and to set the tone that it's okay to ask questions. So, as I mentioned, this is a real brief overview of how to facilitate a small group. Again, you can go to stonecroft.org/evangelism resources and find more great tools to help you lead well. I also mentioned conversation guides, which are 5-week discussion guides for women who come from any faith background. They're Bible-based discussion guides, but really jump into areas in life women struggle with. We have one called Known, which is about how to be known in a world where you feel like no one sees you. We have one called Enough, which is all about becoming enough and feeling enough in the places that we all strive because we don't feel like we're enough. And the last one that I dropped on the floor is rest. How do we find rest in an overly busy, stressed out world? And you can just click on the Stonecroft store link to find any of these resources that would really help you have a great small group and invite women from different faith backgrounds to learn about Scripture and what Jesus has to say about these areas of life. Thanks so much for watching today, and I really hope and pray that Jesus does amazing things through you and the small group that you're leading.